This will be a very short review of the X-ray analysis that we're going to use for the Gonstead Analysis Lab Final. So the first thing we're going to do, question number one, we're going to ask you to identify the femur head line. That's the line drawn across the top of the femurs. You're just going to be, I want you to point to it, put your finger on it. Now the two purposes of the femur head line are, number one, it's our reference line as we draw our lines with our parallel to draw all the other lines on. And it's number one, we'll draw the lines through the ischium, both sides, and so forth. And the other is that we can use the femur head line to help us determine the short leg. For this exam, we're asking you to point to the femur head line. That'll give you 3 points. Second question we're going to ask you is, what side of the ilium would you list, the right ilium or the left ilium? And the answer will be depending on what the lowest lumbar vertebra. This patient has 5 lumbars. Not all people do, but in this one they do. You can see the spinous processes are all to the left, which means the pedicle shadow is wider, so it's a pedicle shadow is on the right. The right side is body rotation. We'll list the ilium on the side of lowest lumbar body rotation, so therefore we'll list the right ilium. Next, we're going to have, you're not going to have a pencil, you're just going to have, but we will give you the parallel. We'll have all the lines drawn on the X-ray, and we're going to ask you to measure from the top of the ilium to the bottom of the ischium. That's the height or the length of the ilium on the right side and the length of the ilium on the left side. So in this patient, you line the parallel up like this, and it measures to be 233 on the right. You've measured on the left side, it turns out to measure 231 on the left. So we know the longer side would be the PI side, so the answer would be it's a PI on the right, and of course technically it's a PI2, whatever the difference in number is, but just know it's a PI on the right. And then the third question we're going to ask is, we're going to ask you, there's 3 ways we can use to determine the side of the EX or the IN on that same side. So first way would take a look at the symphysis pubic and the short little line that represents the line through the sacrum, center of the sacrum, and the symphysis will deviate to the IN side. So in this case, it's to the right, so it's IN on the right. Then you can take a look at the obturators. The X-ray we'll have for you in the exam will be very clear, but the wider obturator would be EX, the more narrow one would be the IN. And the third thing, we take a look at the crest of the ilium. We look at the ilium from both sides, the innominate bone, the width. And we take a look at the wider side would be the IN side, the more narrow side would be the EX side. Now the reason there's 3 different criteria is because sometimes we can see definitely the obturator is bigger on one side than the other, and we can't really tell from the ilium crest, the width of the ilium. On some X-rays we can see the ilium is wide, but we can't really tell the difference in here. So that's why we have 3 different ways that we can use that. So we're going to expect you to use all 3 different ways. And the last question is, we're going to ask you to use your parallel and measure the short leg. You're going to measure from the top of the femur head to the little line drawn across the top of the short leg side. That short leg side is from the top of the high side drawn straight across, and you're going to measure that, and that's going to measure out what's your measured short leg deficiency. So that's a very quick review of your Gonstead Analysis Lab Final for X-rays.